Hey guys, Tyler here, back again, talking about growing in intimacy with Jesus. Um, I I think I don't know if it was this week or if it was the end of last week. Um, I said I'm someone that doesn't have visions very often. And I think it's so funny. The Lord is just so hilarious. When I said that, I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't say that about myself. Like, why can't I have visions? Like, I want to be seeing what God wants to show his people more often." Well, uh, I literally had a vision this morning, and it was just so amazing. It's so weird how the Lord just sort of pours out whatever he wants whenever he wants. And, his ways are higher than our ways. And so, anyways, I want to tell you about the vision I had today, this morning, okay? And I don't know, I don't feel bad about saying that it's amazing. It's an amazing vision because I didn't make it. I didn't come up with it. And just the Lord is so awesome. He's so incredible. So I hope you're ready to have your mind blown because mine is. So yeah, okay. So anyways, here I was just sitting with Jesus and I was in the spirit with him, enjoying his presence. And suddenly I saw this little flower, and it was just a random looking white flower. It had lots of little, it was almost like it wasn't one flower, it was like lots of little white flowers on one stem. And it looked like it was not a special flower. It almost looked like, you know how some weeds, they call them weeds, but they're flowers and they're just in a field. And it was this random flower in the field. It had skinny little green leaves and they were random. Like one kind of drooped down, the other one went straight up. It was kind of like this miscellaneous weed flower, right, out in the field. But the thing that struck me about it is that it looked so fully itself. It looked so healthy. It looked so fully alive. It was like in the peak of its bloom. But it was out in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere, totally nondescript. And one thing that I noticed about it is that I don't know what kind of flower this even is. I don't know if this flower even has a name. And in the vision, I'm like, maybe this is a flower that no one's even seen before. Maybe it's not a flower that humans have given a name, right? And then the Lord showed me a red rose, and He was showing me how a lot of flowers that have been named by people, they've become something in our minds, right? Like a red rose is the classic example. A red rose represents the passion of romance, right? And a rose is sort of this glorified, exalted flower, right? It means it's taken on so much meaning in the human world. And then the Lord turned my attention back to this sort of random miscellaneous flower, right? And he's like, this flower has no special meaning to people. It is not an exalted flower in the world of flowers. It's just there out in the field. But isn't it beautiful? And then the Lord showed me, he said, Tyler, this is just a random flower out in a field. But what if I wanted to come and make my home with this flower? And I kind of was confused by that. I'm really slow, guys. Honestly, I was not. You might have already guessed where the Lord was taking this. With God as my witness, I did not see where this was going. Okay, you might have already thought of the Sermon on the Mount and the flowers of the field, and Solomon, um, how Jesus said about the flowers of the field. He's like, look at the flowers of the field. Look at the way the Lord adorns them with beauty that surpasses even Solomon when he was decked out in all of his royal robes and glory. God has clothed them even more beautifully. And then he says, how much more will God clothe you, O you of little faith, right? So at some point, as I'm seeing this beautiful picture of the flower in the field, the like the Lord trips he turns the lights on in my brain, and he's like, what if I wanted to make my home with this flower? And I thought, well, that makes no sense because why would you want to live with a flower? But then he showed me the flowers of the field in the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus talked about. And he reminded me how God said, how much more will God clothe you? And I realized that the clothing that, Jesus is talking about, don't worry, have faith, God will provide. But what if the Lord was actually saying that that whole part of the Sermon on the Mount is not about God clothing us with physical clothes and providing for us? What if he was saying that God was going to clothe you with himself? God making his home by his spirit with you. What if that's the clothing that Jesus was actually talking about? And then the Lord showed me that if there were no people and the flowers actually represented, what if uh the flowers and the plants were all there were in the world, and God decided to make his home with this random flower of the field. There was nothing about this flower, although it was beautiful in and of itself, there was nothing that particularly um, uh, ingratiated itself to the other flowers or the other plants in the plant kingdom, right? It wasn't a giant flower. It wasn't a colorful flower. It was just a plain white with green leaves. It was not, um, there weren't a million of them. It wasn't a whole field of these beautiful little white flowers, just this one little white flower. So there was nothing about it that recommended it to the other plants of the plant kingdom, right? But I realized that if this flower was just there in the field, wanting with all of its heart, even though it was nothing, even though there was nothing special about it, it was out in a random field in the middle of nowhere. What if it just desired to give God glory, even though it was nothing in and of itself? And what if God decided, I'm going to come and make my home with this flower? And if God did that and just glorified himself in this flower, and that flower received the glory of God and just was able to radiate and magnify the wonder of who the Lord was. Do you realize, and this is what the Lord showed me, that all of the plants of all the plant kingdom, all the different varieties in all of their wonder and glory would look at that random little flower in the field if they could see it and wish they were that flower, right? Even the sequoias in the redwood forest, even though they're hundreds of feet bigger, even though they've lived for thousands of years, and that flower might only be there for a week, right? It's here today, gone tomorrow. Just like Jesus said about how the flowers of the field, the grasses of the field, they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. They burn. We mow them down and throw them in the burn pile, right? But if the most beautiful red rose, the most gorgeous of flowers, the most incredible sequoia that will be here for thousands of years after that silly little white plant flower is mowed down, if they could see God glorifying himself in that little white flower, they would be inconsolably jealous of that flower. Now, how do I know that? Well, it says in Romans 8 that that all of creation is crying out for the sons of God to be revealed. Now, who are the sons of God? They're not just people. They're not just humans. Humans in, in everything that they have to recommend themselves to the rest of creation. I'm sorry, we're just like that little white flower. Okay, we're a little smarter, but we're nothing special in and of ourselves compared to the rest of creation. But if God would come and make his home with us, then all of creation would cry out, make me like that person who is radiating the wonder and the glory of who God is. And guys, I just felt when I was having this vision, I don't know how to describe this, but it almost brings me to tears right now. When I saw what the Lord was showing me, oh, I said to Jesus, "Oh Lord, help me to be humble enough that I'm willing to be that little white flower." There's nothing about him that recommends the rest of the plant kingdom to him. He's not extraordinarily bright. He's not big and strong and mighty. He's not a bazillionaire. He doesn't have particularly special gifts about him that make him so remarkable that everyone that walks by is like, whoa, look at the size of that tree. Look at the size of the apples on that tree. Look at the fruit that's coming from that member of the plant kingdom. Look at the beauty of this or that part of him. Let me, Lord, be willing to be that anonymous, that random, that ignorable, and that unnoticed. And yet, would you make me your home such that the rest of the plant kingdom would look and say, oh, let me have what that little flower has in my own way. Let me possess the joy of getting to glorify you, Lord, like that little dumb little flower does. Oh, and the Lord's so funny. He's like, oh, well, Tyler, it's your lucky day. That is you. And pop, my brain exploded. Oh, and I had the meaning of the vision. Ah, I already am that flower. Dumb little random anonymous flower with no special gifts. Beautiful in my own way, right? Not like beautiful, but I mean like, there's something special, unique about me, but nothing extraordinary. There are a million varieties of plants in the plant kingdom, in the human version, that are better in every single way, and yet Jesus is glorifying himself through me. Whether anyone ever walks by this field and happens to even see me, no one may ever even notice. I could be mowed down tomorrow and be totally forgotten by this world. And yet, the more I will humble myself and recognize that I am just another flower out in the field, like all the others, each unique in their own way. Some will appreciate the rose more because of what that has come to represent. Some will admire the sequoias, their hugeness, their longevity. People will look at the different plants of the field, and because of what they're going through and what they're struggling with, they'll be looking for something that a certain plant will recommend to them, and they will notice because of what it represents in its timing, in its world, and say, whoa, that's really speaking to me. And they may not even notice the plant that I am and the way that I recommend myself, and yet that means nothing to me. And guys, that doesn't mean anything to you. What you mean to other plants of the field and what they need in their hour and would recommend what plant would recommend itself to them. It doesn't matter who I am in the eyes of a sequoia or in the eyes of a rose. All that matters is who I am in the eyes of the one who created me. And what a privilege it is, what a joy it is for this random flower in this random field, this random moment in time, and this random place. All that matters to me, if I had the wisdom to recognize what should matter to me, is that I have the opportunity to glorify God. And the reality is, guys, that what makes me different than a random flower in a random field, what makes me greater, what makes me mean so much more, like Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, is that Jesus isn't going to make his home with a flower. A flower is too little. It's not capable. It's not created with that. It's not endowed with that worth by its creator. And yet, I am able to be the home of the living God. And so are you. If you're watching this video and able to understand what I'm saying, then guess what? You are one of those flowers in one of those fields as well. And you are created by God to be endowed with the opportunity to be his home, to be the very thing that all of creation is crying out to be like. And all we have to do is recognize the opportunity, even though we're humble, even though we're maybe not special in the eyes of the rest of the world. God has chosen each of us to live, to so make his home with us that we radiate and reflect back to the rest of creation the glory that they were made to be endowed with as well. And so I just want to encourage you today to accept your humble estate in your natural self and the natural gifting, whatever you have to offer in your human being, and yet the amazing opportunity that each of us has to be the home of the living God and to glorify Jesus in this life that we have. So, whoa, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if those words mean anything to you, but there's something behind them. There's something real in what I'm saying, guys. It's a vision from God. It's a revelation from the King. Dinky little flower, but the flower just put some glory out there. So if you saw it, I hope you I hope it blessed you. Um, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute, and I invite you to sit with me and drink in the reality that Jesus wants to make his home with you afresh right now, more deeply than he ever has before. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity to be out in this random field of time and space with nobody maybe seeing but you. We give you glory. Okay, guys, I'm losing it. I'm gonna go. I pray that this speaks to you, that it blesses you. As always, guys, I'd love it if you feel moved or I don't know, you have thoughts about what I'm saying, or have questions about it, want to understand it better, email me. My email is fatheringwiththefather@gmail.com. Or if you, I do one-on-one counseling and mentoring. If you'd like to set up a time to do that, you can go to the website at www.fatheringwiththefather.org. I literally couldn't even remember the name of the website. www.fatheringwiththefather.org. And hope to be back again soon with more, Lord willing, if I don't get mowed down before then. But God bless you, and hope to talk to you guys soon. Thanks.